I am doing this for the people. Welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is good, YouTube? This is Lawrence back with another video here over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and today I have a special video for you guys. I have a member of the community, a subscriber of the channel, asked me to do a specific video, so I thought this was a pretty cool idea. They wanted me to do a top solo title comic book that is not actually a character's true first appearance, right? So we're talking about like not the first appearance of Superman, but maybe his first in his own solo title, and I'm gonna rank them here for you guys today. So before we get started in this video, like always guys, I'm gonna ask you, if you're not a current subscriber of the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and click that subscribe button, tap that like button, and turn on the notification bell. Also, comment down below if I missed anything off this list. This is really a tough one to compile. There were some easy ones, but then it kind of took me a while to find some of these other ones on here. So what I did was I actually said, you know what are my top 15 that I would want to buy relating to this stuff? And I said, okay, let's go from there. With that said, guys, these are my top 15 first appearance in their own solo title, but it's not their actual true first appearance. So let's jump into it. I'm going to start at the number 15 spot, guys. We're going to count our way all the way down. At the 15 spot is none other than Punisher #1, the limited series. Of course, is a great cover by Mike Zeck and a CGC. 9.8, just sold last month for $1,100. That actually kind of surprised me, guys. I didn't think this book was that expensive in a 9.8. Regardless, it came at number 15 on my list. A cool book, but there's no way I'd pay $1,100 for a 9.8 copy. But a nice, inexpensive book in lower grades that, hey, I'd want to add to the collection at some point. At the 14 spot is a copy of Swamp Thing #1 and the first appearance of the new Swamp Thing, Alec Holland. This book was on the Hot 10 list this week and is CGC 9.0. Just sold in September for $450. Now, we talked about this on the Hot 10, said I wanted this book in my collection. I actually really do enjoy the Swamp Thing, one of the few DC books that I really enjoy outside of Batman. But regardless, I thought $450 was a bit too much money to spend on this key issue, but hey, it was number 14 on this list. At number 13 on this list is a copy of Wolverine #1 from the limited series. Now, we all know about this one, this awesome Frank Miller cover, and a CGC 9.8. Just sold this month, November, for $650, believe it or not. I think everybody on the planet in the comic book community actually owns this book already. An iconic cover, was really, really cheap at one point. Could be had for probably under $50 in certain grades. It's gotten a little bit of a bump over the past couple of years. Ever since Disney bought Fox and we knew that Wolverine was going to show up at some point, this book shot up. Either way, still relatively inexpensive at a 9.8. At number 12 on this list is a copy of Aquaman #1 and the first appearance of Aquaman in his own solo title, in a CGC 4.0. Just sold this month for only $427. Now, the first appearance of Aquaman is astonishingly expensive, right, guys? So what are people going to flock to when they want to buy an Aquaman appearance? They're going to flock to his first solo title, in my opinion, and this is it. For $400-something, I don't think it's that bad. I was not a huge Aquaman fan growing up. I don't think a lot of people out there are huge Aquaman fans, but regardless, for $400, I think it's a decent buy, and it's number 12 on my list. At number 11 on this list is a copy of The Crow #1 and the first appearance of the Crow in his own solo title. Now, this book is super scarce, as is the first appearance of the Crow, but believe it or not, CGC 9.0, just sold way back in September of this year for $800, believe it or not. Quite a price jump over the past couple of years. I think there are some rumblings out there that they might do something with the Crow, maybe reboot the series or do something along those lines. Regardless, I'm not a huge Crow fan. I have seen the original movie, thought it was awesome. I do think they should do some type of reboot, but other than that, I'm not shelling out the $800 on this one. But again, it's still number 11 on my list. Alright, so now we're going to round out the top 10 of this list. Coming in at number 10 is a copy of Incredible Hulk #102 and the first appearance of the Incredible Hulk in his own solo titles after issue 1 through 6. So I know you guys are familiar with this because I've talked about it ad nauseum probably for the past couple of years. It went from 1 to 6, went over to Tales to Astonish, then jumped back to Incredible Hulk at issue 102. With that said, this is one of my all-time favorite Silver Age comics. It is a classic cover as well, and I can't believe how cheap this book still is. A CGC 7.0 just sold this month for only $265, believe it or not. I remember when I got my copy, it had to have been about 4 years ago at this point. I probably spent around the same type of money for around the same grade. So this book really hasn't jumped in price, which I'm shocked over. But again, anything Hulk right now, Silver Age, is going up in value in my opinion. Of course, Incredible Hulk #1 is the money book that I always talk about, but it is a fortune. To me, after that book, I know a lot of people out there want to collect 2 through 6. I'm going to go to this book. I think this book is right after that Hulk #1. I think 2 through 6 is awesome. I know they're super scarce, but to spend the amount of money on those books, a lot of people won't do it, including myself. I'm jumping on this one because it's still so darn cheap. At the 9th spot is a copy of Doctor Strange #169 and the first solo appearance of Doctor Strange in his own solo title. And with that said, guys, this one is a lot like Incredible Hulk in that it starts off at Doctor Strange #1, goes over to Strange Tales, then comes back to Doctor Strange at issue #169. Regardless, it's one of my favorite Silver Age covers as well. A beautiful purple red background with Doctor Strange in the middle of this book, and a CGC 7.5 just sold in September for $416. Believe it or not, I still think that's relatively cheap. It has gone up for the past couple of years. I remember I bought my copy for probably around $150 about 3 to 4 years ago. Regardless, guys, I love this book. I love this cover. And with Strange Tales #110 being so expensive, I think this is the second book most people are going to go to relating to Doctor Strange. At number 8 on this list is a copy of Ghost Rider #1, and of course the first solo appearance of Ghost Rider in his own solo title. In his CGC 7.5 just sold this month for only $604, believe it or not. Again, another book that has been recently on the Hot 10 Comics of the Week breakdown. If you guys haven't checked out my series of videos, every week I drop them on Thursdays, and if you're members of the community, you get them as soon as I'm done finish editing them, and I upload them, and then I wait for Thursday. So hey, if I'm done on Tuesdays, you guys get them on Tuesdays. If you're a member, you're lucking out. Regardless, guys, this is one of my favorite Bronze Age keys right now. You know I'd rather own Marvel Spotlight 5, his first appearance, but if you can't go get that one, this is the next best one on my list. Again, definitely a buy, especially before Ghost Rider shows up in the MCU. At number 7 on this list is a copy of Silver Surfer #1 and the first solo Silver Surfer in his own solo title, and yes, that is a mouthful, and a CGC 3.5 just sold last month for $525, which to me, I absolutely think that's a great steal right now because again, Silver Surfer is rumored to show up in the MCU. FF48 has taken a beating over the past year and I can't figure out why. I still think this book is ready to be owned, ready to be bought right now in this comic market. Again, my LCS has had a major copy on their wall for about a couple of weeks now. I've been kind of humming and hawing to see if I want to go ahead and pick it up, but it is a higher grade copy, so I'm kind of balking at it. Regardless, this is a book I definitely want to own before the Silver Surfer shows up in the MCU. And you know, once he does, he's going to be a major character going forward. At number 6 on this list is one of my Silver Age favorites. It is a copy of Iron Man #1, and of course the first appearance of Iron Man and his origin since Tales of Suspense #39, his true first appearance. And a CGC 6.5 just sold this month for only $750. Believe it or not, this book was also on this week's Hot 10 list. You guys know I am a fan of undervalued keys, especially Silver Age keys, and this is one of them. I'd also throw Avengers #1 in there. Avengers #1 didn't make my list because it was the first appearance of the Avengers technically, so it couldn't appear on this one even though it's a #1 issue. Regardless, when I talk about undervalued keys, this is at the top spot on it. I don't know why this book is so inexpensive. I said on this week's breakdown that, hey, Tales of Suspense 39 and maybe about a 2.0 grade roughly is about $8,000. So why is this 7.5 under $1,000 for Iron Man #1? To me, it seems bogus. I'm picking up this book every time I see it. At number 5 on this list is a book that I never talk about and a character that I never talk about. It is a copy of Flash #105 and the first appearance of the Silver Age Flash, Barry Allen, in his own solo title, and a CGC 3.5 just sold in September for $1,750. Now, I gotta be honest, I think all DC keys are kind of getting ready to pop right now. Warner's just announced that James Gunn is going to take over along with someone else. You know it's going to get better from here on out. I think all these major DC heroes and even some villains are going to start to pop. My favorites are the Silver Age Batman villains. That's what I'm collecting right now, and some of the major Batman keys. Regardless, if you haven't checked out my video this week about the top 10 Batman comics I want to own, make sure you check that one out as well. Regardless, guys, I think all DC keys should be bought right now over Marvel, as Marvel is kind of stagnating until we get some of those bigger Avengers movies. Coming in at number 4 is another DC key. It is a copy of Sensation Comics #1 and the first appearance of Wonder Woman, technically in her own solo title. I know she was in All-Star Comics #8 and was continuing that aspect, and then it went over to Sensation Comics and she carried on that run there. Even though she wasn't featured in every issue, she was in a lot of them. So I consider it her own solo title. Regardless, guys, CGC 4.0 just sold in January of this year for a massive $43,200. Now, I tried to find the grade point average with the latest sale, and it was all back in January for $43,000. So it's probably around the same amount of money, I would think. The market has slowed since then, so it's maybe going to be around $40,000. Regardless, this is a massive book with a massive price tag. I had to put it at number 4. All right, now we're getting into the top 3 and probably my 3 biggest solo title series of main characters out there. At the 3 spot is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man #1 and the first appearance of Spidey in his own solo title. This is also the second appearance of Spider-Man and the first appearance of the Chameleon and J. Jonah Jameson. And a CGC 1.5 just sold last month for $8,000. This book has really started to come down over the past 6 months. I have been hunting for a low grade copy to upgrade my 0.5 copy that I have, and it's been a rough go over the past year and a half. But right now, it seems to me like it might be the time to buy with this book heading downward. Regardless, guys, I am definitely a buyer of this book no matter what. The second appearance of Spider-Man, the first in his own solo title, and some major first appearances as well, had to be number 3 on my list. At number 2 on this list is a copy of What Else? Batman #1 and the first solo appearance of the Caped Crusader. But not only that, guys, this is the first appearance ever of the Joker and the Catwoman, which makes this book even more special. And a CGC 1.8 just sold back in May for a whopping $180,000. Man, Batman and these major DC grails, these major golden age keys, man, they just keep going up year after year. It doesn't matter what the market is. When you have books as big as this, there is no looking back. And to me, I'm going to put this out there right now. I am looking for a copy of a Batman #1. That's right. If I could find a 0.5 out there, I know Heritage Auctions has one right now, but it's a little bit too beat up for me. I am looking for anyone out there in the community who has a Batman 0.5 that is complete or near complete for a decent price. Regardless, guys, this is a monster key and it deserves a monster price tag. 180 grand is a lot of dough, but hey, over 20 to 30 years, it's going to be worth it. And rounding out the top spot on this list is What Else? It is a copy of Superman #1 and the first appearance of Clark Kent and Superman in his own solo title, an iconic key to appear #1 at this list. Of course, it's Superman. He's the first superhero ever and probably is the greatest superhero ever. I'm a little Spidey biased, but regardless, he's the one that started it all. And a CGC 1.5 just sold way back in June of this year for a whopping $192,000. To me, that is worth every penny for a major superhero, a golden age book, a 1.5 complete CGC copy. It is definitely worth it if you can pick up this book, if you can find one. I know a buddy of mine just picked up a 0.5 issue that absolutely looks spectacular. Kudos to him. But again, I could not include Superman #1, and it could not be #1 on this list. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is a fun one kind of to look up all the books that I thought should be on it, the pricing, the grade point averages, the last sales. It's a lot of time and, like I said, a lot of fun to kind of compile all this stuff and give you this info. Regardless, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, if you're not a current subscriber of the channel, do me a favor. We're giving something away every 1,000 subscribers from here on out. You don't want to miss it. So this is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.